He said his friend wasn't human, then vanished in the woods. In the summer of 2006, a boy named Jeremy went camping with his best friend Daniel, deep in the forests of Oregon. It was meant to be a quiet, tech-free weekend, just two kids, a tent, and the trees. But only one of them came back. Daniel returned 2 days later, barefoot, covered in scratches, and shaking uncontrollably. He kept repeating the same thing to his mother, over and over again. Jeremy's gone, and he wasn't human. At first, everyone thought Daniel was just traumatized. Maybe an animal attacked them. Maybe they got lost, and Jeremy didn't make it. But then, the search team found something out there in the woods. Something that shouldn't exist. Part 1. The Boys. Jeremy and Daniel were both 15 years old when they planned their weekend camping trip in Mount Hood National Forest. They'd known each other since elementary school, inseparable, like brothers. Jeremy was the bold one. Outgoing, sarcastic, never afraid to try something stupid. Daniel, on the other hand, was quiet, cautious, always thinking things through. They balanced each other out. Daniel's mom was hesitant to let them go alone, but after some begging and promises to stay safe, she agreed in one condition. They had to check in by phone each night. They packed 2 backpacks, a small tent, granola bars, jerky, bottled water, a flashlight, and 1 walkie-talkie set just in case. Jeremy's cousin dropped them off at the trailhead Friday afternoon, around 3 p.m. The plan was simple: hike in a couple of miles, camp overnight, hike back out Sunday morning. They were supposed to come back together. Part 2. The first night. The first night was normal, peaceful even. They pitched their tent near a small clearing just off the main trail, roasted marshmallows over a small fire, talked about school, girls, games, classic teen stuff. They made their nightly check-in call from Daniel's flip phone before turning it off to save battery. And just before going to sleep, Daniel said he saw something strange through the trees. A flicker, like light reflecting off metal. Jeremy joked, "It's probably Bigfoot's spaceship." They laughed, and then went to sleep. But sometime after midnight, Daniel woke up. He didn't know why at first. There was no noise, no movement, just this weird feeling, like someone was watching high. He looked over. Jeremy's sleeping bag was empty. Part 3. The Stranger. Daniel unzipped the tent and peeked out. Jeremy was standing about 20 feet away, near the tree line, completely still, staring into the forest. "Dude?" Daniel whispered. "What are you doing?" Jeremy didn't respond. He didn't even move. Daniel walked over slowly, the forest floor crunching beneath his bare feet. "Jeremy?" he said again. And then Jeremy turned his head, but not like a normal person. He didn't twist his shoulders or shift his weight, just his neck, snapped it sideways. Daniel said the way his head moved made him feel physically sick. Jeremy smiled, but it wasn't his smile. Part 4. The first sign. "Go back to the tent," Jeremy said, but his voice was off. Too flat, too calm. Daniel took a step back. "Are you okay?" Jeremy nodded, then reached out and gently touched Daniel's shoulder. His hand was ice cold. Daniel ran. He didn't know why. He didn't think. He just bolted back into the tent, zipped it shut, and waited. Listening. No footsteps, no sound, just silence. Eventually he fell asleep, somehow. Maybe from exhaustion, maybe from fear. When he woke up, Jeremy was back in his sleeping bag, smiling, acting normal, like nothing had happened. Part 5. Strange behavior. That morning, Jeremy was cheerful, too cheerful. He was humming a tune Daniel had never heard before, a strange, lilting melody that sounded wrong, like something from a dream you wake up trying to forget. Daniel asked him, "You remember anything from last night?" Jeremy just blinked. "No. Why?" "You were out by the trees, talking weird. You touched me and your hand was..." Jeremy laughed. "You must have dreamed it." But Daniel knew what he saw. And then Jeremy said something strange. "Did you know these woods used to be home to something older than people?" Daniel frowned. "What are you talking about?" "Nothing." Jeremy grinned. Just history.
Part 6. The Disappearance. That afternoon, Jeremy kept wandering off. Daniel would turn around, and he'd be gone, then reappear 5 minutes later, acting like nothing happened. At one point, Daniel found him kneeling in the dirt, whispering. No words, just a whisper, over and over. "What are you doing?" Daniel asked. Jeremy looked up, and his eyes were all black. No whites, no iris, just black. Daniel screamed. Jeremy blinked, and suddenly, his eyes were normal again. "You okay, man?" he said, confused. That night, Daniel insisted they head back in the morning. Jeremy just smiled and said, "You should go ahead. I'll catch up." But he didn't. By the time Daniel got back to the trailhead the next day, Jeremy was gone. Part 7. The Search. Daniel's mom called the park rangers. A full-scale search launched within hours. Dogs, drones, volunteers. Days passed. Nothing. Until the third night, one of the searchers, an older ranger named Bill, radioed in. "I found something," he said. They followed his GPS coordinates and found a clearing. In the center, Jeremy's backpack, and carved into the dirt, in a perfect circle around it, a symbol. No one recognized it. Not native, not Celtic, not anything in any known language. But when they brought Daniel to the site, he froze. It was the same symbol Jeremy had been drawing in the dirt with a stick the day before. Part 8. The Truth. Daniel started talking, rambling, crying. He wasn't Jeremy, he said. Not anymore. He told them everything. The midnight stare, the cold touch, the eyes, the way he moved. And the last thing Jeremy ever said to him, "If I stay here, I'll become like them." That was the last sentence Daniel ever spoke about that trip. He stopped talking after that, not out of trauma, but because, as his mom later said, he was afraid something was listening. Part 9. The Rumors. Years passed. Jeremy's body was never found. But hikers started reporting weird sightings near that same clearing. A teenage boy standing perfectly still in the woods. Eyes like bottomless pits, humming a song that made people cry without knowing why. One hiker said he followed the sound and found a figure in the trees. He asked, "Are you okay?" The boy turned around, smiled, and said, "I'm not him anymore." Part 10. The Letter. In 2021, Daniel, now 30, mailed a handwritten letter to a local podcast that covers strange disappearances. It simply said, "You were right. He wasn't human, but I don't think he was evil. He just didn't belong here anymore. And now, I hear the humming too."
To this day, the forest around that clearing remains closed to campers, not because of bears, or weather, or fire danger, but because sometimes hikers vanish for hours. And when they return, they say things like, "My friend told me something, but he's been dead for years." And they all hum the same melody,